What is going on, guys? We've got another tier ranking video for y'all. Looks like I found this awesome list on Tier List Maker called All Scary Stuff Ever. And it intrigued me. I was actually looking for something else, and this popped up, and I was like, oh, let's check it out. So this is what we're going to be ranking here. Yeah. So it's quite a different tier ranking list. As you can see, there's a lot of weird stuff here. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So as you can see, we have God tier, S, A, B, C, because there's no F tier. I guess like C is the lowest. I mean, D and F are technically failing anyway if you're in school. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start here with the beginning. Okay, so the first one here is um, aliens. I don't know if you guys can read that. Let me see. Let me zoom in a bit here so we can see this. What is this? Finish update. I don't do that. Up. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit better. Beautiful. So as you can see on the first one, we have aliens. Do I find aliens scary? Sort of. I mean, I think we all saw Signs growing up. I can't think of any other alien movies. Fire in the Sky. I think that's an alien movie. Uh, I grew up in New Mexico, so Roswell. I mean, are aliens really that scary? To me, not really. So if we're going off all scary things, so I would give aliens like a B. I mean, yeah, if you were like outside in the dark and you saw like an alien or like maybe a UFO, I'm sure that would be scary. Oh, that one movie I just saw, Nope. Well, I didn't just see it, but it came out a while ago. Yeah, that kind of reinvigorated the alien horror. But as aliens in general are not scary to me. I feel like if aliens did exist, which I believe they do, I believe aliens do exist. I don't think. I think first of all, I think they would have like tried to take over the Earth already, and I don't think they have, or maybe they have. Who knows? But I just don't find them very scary. Bears, and it's Winnie the Pooh. You know what? I find bears scary, and I've got stories about that. So I'm gonna put bears on S tier just because I'm an outdoor guy, and I remember being a kid growing up, and bears used to scare me like a lot, and I would actually have nightmares about bears because I camped a lot with my dad, and man, like I had a stuffed toy bear that like I threw away because I had a nightmare about it. This was when I was like a kid though, but man, I definitely did. It haunted me. Like the imagining that there was like a bear in the woods at night. I remember going to camp and like you had to walk up this like hill all the way to the top to go to the bathroom from the cabins. There was like a bathroom. There was like the girls' bathroom showers and the boys' bathroom showers. And I remember like waking up, having to pee at like 1 in the morning, and thinking to myself when I'm walking, I don't know, like 200 yards to this freaking bathroom, this one little light out there in the dark, that like I'm gonna get killed by a bear. There's a bear in the because there's bears in the woods, they exist, and that like I did have a fear of bears a lot. Bigfoot. I don't find Bigfoot that scary, honestly. I mean, I think if Bigfoot did exist or does exist, maybe he does. I mean, not saying Bigfoot doesn't exist, but I mean, I think it'd be something similar to a bear. So I'll give Bigfoot an A, probably, on the tier ranking. Blood. Hmm. You know what? I wouldn't say blood is scary. Well, you know what? It is scary. Blood's very scary. I mean, if you walk into a house, let's say you walk into a house at night and you see blood on the ground, you're immediately going to be scared. So I'm going to put blood up there with like a tier ranking because blood is like a kind of symbolizes that like something bad has gone down. Somebody's dead, somebody's injured. So I feel like when people see blood, there is definitely an inherent like fear that's involved with that. It's also very gross, I think. I think blood is very nasty. But I think human beings in general, when we see blood, we immediately like definitely like that fight or flight response kicks in when we see blood because you rarely see blood in real life, like whether it be like somebody falling off a bike and they scrape and there's a bunch of blood coming off of them, you immediately I think people immediately get freaked out by that, and me included. When blood's there, like at anything, like a anywhere, like blood, definitely frightening. And I feel like doctors and nurses and maybe police officers who are like ambulance drivers are so used to blood that they're not afraid of it. But normal people like me don't see blood every day, so I think that's scary. The Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda. Is that how you spell that? Bermuda? Can you guys actually read that? Bermuda Triangle. I don't even know. Like, I guess it's creepy. Like, I'm gonna put that on B. Like, I don't know. Like flying into the Bermuda Triangle, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really find it scary, but you know what? I've never flown a plane through the Bermudas. Whoever spelled this spelled it wrong, or they intentionally spelled it wrong. But it looks like it's by Florida. So people from Florida, if you're from Florida, you've ever flown through this, is it scary? Like to me, it's not. So I'm gonna give it a B. Bugs. I find bugs very scary. This is a picture of an ant, which I think is the least scariest of the bugs. But I think in general, like centipedes, spiders, obviously, any other weird bugs like that, I think they're very frightening. Especially centipedes are like they always get to me. If I see a centipede, especially like I've never seen a giant one, but I've seen smaller ones. But like those giant centipedes, yeah, that's gonna be a nope from me. So I'm gonna give bugs an S ranking. Bugs Bunny. I don't find Bugs Bunny scary, but you know, someone might. Whoever wrote this list probably has a fear of Bugs Bunny. The next one, being buried alive. I mean, it's a frightening thought, but I don't think about it. Being buried alive. I mean, I've heard of stories about it, but I don't ever think I'll be buried alive, you know? So, I don't find it that scary, really. That's going to be a C. If you have an inherent fear of being buried alive, please let me know. And I'm sorry if you do, but I honestly do not. I can't see a time where I'm being buried alive. Or like I don't really think about like, oh, I'm gonna be buried alive. I think about other things that frighten me, you know, that can happen. Like where I live, honestly, I've been thinking more about because all the wars and stuff going on. I've been thinking about like nuclear holocaust because I live in a location where they would probably, if like somebody launched a nuke at us, they'd probably launch it where I live because I live by a large military base. That frightens me more than being buried alive. Cave diving. So again, things underwater frighten me. Being underwater, like I'm not like I don't swim. I haven't swam in the ocean that much, but like swimming in the ocean at night, I feel like that would be creepy. Sharks and anything else down there. I don't know what other, primarily sharks, but I couldn't imagine like cave diving. I feel like you're vulnerable underwater, you know, especially as human beings. So I'm gonna give cave diving a S ranking, just because in general I feel like it's just being underwater is creepy as hell, you know. So caving. So I did finally see a movie called The Descent, which is a very good movie. I highly recommend it. It came out in like 2005. It's actually a really good horror movie. When it first came out when I was younger, I didn't think it was going to be that scary. It looked like a thriller, but it's actually a very frightening movie. Caving in general, that kind of like ignited my caving fears. And then Sons of the Forest. I know you guys have played that, but that probably ignites fear of caves. So I have been through some caves, and I've heard some horror stories about things that have gone on in caves. So I think caving would be frightening, especially because it's dark. Especially if you go into a very deep cave. I'd imagine it'd be scary. And then whatever's living in there could be a bear in there. Look, it's on the same ranking as bear. So I would give caving an S. Children. Okay. There are some people that are scared of kids. A lot of my friends don't have kids and they choose not to have kids. I myself don't have kids yet, but I do have nieces and nephews. And I could see it. I can see being scared of children, or unless they mean like children, as in like the creepy twins from like The Shining or something, but or like seeing like a demon girl like in like a haunted house or something. Yeah, children are definitely pretty frightening. They can be pretty scary. I'm gonna give children a god tier of frightening. They're creepy. Kids can be creepy. Especially if they're like possessed or something like that. And if you're scared of having kids, I guess that can be a god tier thing too, because it's frightening to have kids. I'm not gonna lie. I've been thinking about having kids, and to me, I definitely feel like it would be frightening to have a child, and just worrying so much about that child and making sure that they're safe and all that stuff. So I can't read what this says. I'm assuming this means fear of small places, but it's cause callus of Trobia. I'm assuming that means fear of small spaces. Um, so I'll tell you a story real quick. I have been stuck in an elevator before, an old elevator in an old hotel. I was finishing. I used to be. Well, I still do photography as a side hustle, and we got stuck in an elevator with a very small elevator in a very tall hotel. We were stuck in there for about an hour and a half. And then the firefighters had to come get us out. I will say that if I had been stuck in there, I think I was only stuck in, like I said, an hour and a half. But if I had been stuck in there for like 12 hours, I probably would have started having it. And honestly, what helped me in that situation was I had a smartphone, so I could kind of like get on my smartphone and just not think about being stuck in an elevator that was super small, you know, and yeah, I had someone with me too, so I think that helped a little bit as well. But just kind of like fear of small spaces, I believe that's a legit thing, and I would hate it, especially if you can't leave said small place. Darkness is another interesting one. I would say. I think everyone has a fear of the dark because the dark is the unknown. I think that's something that everyone deals with. In fact, I feel like most human beings are scared of the dark. Um, I really do because again, it's like fear of the unknown and whatever else, and just not knowing what's there. You know, I mean, you ever walk through your own house at night, and not knowing what's there? Some people like I don't care sometimes, but sometimes I kind of think in my mind like, what if like a demon was to randomly just like pop out in front of me when I'm walking to the kitchen to like eat cheese at 2 a.m. Like that would be scary, So it's just like, and it just why do these random thoughts come up to people? I think it's because you watch so many horror movies that you're like, oh, this is like in that horror movie, like something's gonna pop out right now because I'm walking to the dark, and there's no lights. So I would say darkness is definitely for me anyway, God tier. Deep sea, I already talked about this, but cave diving, definitely gonna have to put that as god tier because I feel like the ocean is unknown. I feel like we've only discovered so much of the ocean that it's just the unknown is frightening. So, and to me, when you're in water, you're vulnerable. You can drown. You can do all this stuff. So I feel like human beings, you're already vulnerable in water, and there's so many creatures and weird things down there. Like I used to have like an inherent fear, like even if it's like a whale or something, like a creature that you think it's not going to hurt you, but can you imagine just swimming and you look down, there's this giant whale kind of swimming up towards you? Just imagine that right now. Like what would you do? you know it just, to me, it's frightening, it's scary. Next up we have a picture of Hillary Clinton, and it's Democrats. Okay, so I don't like getting too political, you know, and I can't like Democrats. I don't know who wrote this list, but they obviously there's some other things on here. Whoever wrote this list is not biased. Trust me, we're about to see some other things. Are Democrats frightening? I don't know, and it's funny that it's Hillary Clinton because of all the stuff that she's like supposedly done or not done. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't do it. I'm not saying she did do it, but in general, I don't trust politicians at all. So if they're talking like Democratic politicians, that's god tier, and same with Republican politicians. So you guys don't think like, oh well, you're just no. I'm not biased. I don't trust politicians in general. I think really shady stuff has been done. And, we look at other countries and that aren't as developed as America, but that there is some dark stuff that is hiding in like the closet of the American people or American politicians and stuff like that. There's some dark stuff there. So I really believe politicians in general are frightening as hell, and just the fact of the power they have, even though they pretend that they don't have power, but they do. They have a lot of power. All right, so the devil. The devil is definitely scary. I am religious. I'm not going to say what it's obviously a religion that believes in the devil, even though there's numerous devils. But I think the devil's frightening. You know, I don't know. I mean, we're taught. I remember being scared of the devil as a kid because I went to church, and then everyone's like, "Ooh, the devil's like this evil thing," and it's like, okay, but and that they scare the crap out of you as a kid with these stories about the devil, and it's like, oh, that's frightening. And so, I mean, growing up with that, you're going to be a little scared of the devil. And then you're watching movies about demons and stuff and like how powerful the devil is and how powerful demons are. So I'm going to put the devil as S. Driving. Okay, so I am definitely frightened of driving. I know this seems kind of weird, but I have a condition. I don't like to talk about it. I am allowed to drive still. But I will say when it comes to driving in big cities, like big city traffic, I definitely have a fear. It's just because of my condition and because of like you hear about accidents all the time. Accidents happen every day, you know? That's why I'm not scared of flying. Like I have one of my siblings is super scared of flying, but they'll drive anywhere. And I'm like, "Well, you're more likely to get in a car accident than in an airplane accident, you know?" That's why driving scares me a little bit because it's like, I mean, I still do it every day. I still drive. I'm not frightened. It's just if you're in a situation where you're like, I don't know, lots of traffic, cars are flying by you and stuff like that, it does get kind of scary. Even though I feel like it's just something human beings like accept. But I think in general, driving, I'm gonna give that at least an A. I think driving is scary. You know, because I don't know. If you disagree, please let me know. I feel like driving's kind of scary. Dying, a fear of dying. I used to have a fear of dying. I don't anymore because when I was younger, I went through some things. I actually had quite a few brushes with death. One medically related, one involving something down the list that we're going to talk about later. But I like it's weird when you have that brush with death, you're kind of not scared anymore, you know? It's just I don't know. It's like it's almost like it's not that you accept it, or you do accept it, but you're not scared of it anymore when you've had that brush with death. It's the oddest thing in the world, you know? So dying, I'm gonna put it B because it's frightening. I used to think about dying. It used to keep me up at night when I was like in college. Like, oh my gosh, like I could die. And then you kind of like after you get past that, however long it is that you really you start telling yourself like, oh, I'm gonna die. I might die. I could die in my sleep. I could die with this health condition. I can die with this and that. And then when you actually have that brush with death and you survive, it's kind of like, I think the human body is more powerful than we think, and and then I don't know, like something just kind of went away with it, and I didn't really care about it. The end of the world. So that is definitely a real fear, you know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I often have times where I think like, and I even Googled it, like, what would happen if like the sun just went out for no reason? Like, how long would we live? And I kind of looked it up, and honestly, we would live about another 2 to 3 days with the sun out. I mean, there'd be mass chaos and stuff, but without the sun, we'd probably live. I think it said 2 to 3 days before I think the planet Earth would become inhabitable or something like that, or like most life on Earth would die. And to me, that's like an end of the world thing. There's like meteors crashing into the earth and all that stuff, and the comets, and then other reasons too. I don't know. Maybe the earth just randomly explodes, but like the random explosion doesn't scare me because it would just like I don't know if you've ever seen like Rogue One or whatever, but you just blow up and like hold each other and you're dead. But I think the sun going out is definitely an end of the world thing, and it does scare me. So I'm gonna give that an A. So I mean, I don't know if you guys think about random shit like that sometimes, but I do. Um, Evil skeleton. I don't find skeletons scary. Honestly, I find them kind of funny. I'm gonna give that a C. Forest at night. That's scary. Again, bear. Going back to the bears. Going back to I don't like watching the Blair Witch, the original Blair Witch movie, not that garbage new one. Um, I think forests are creepy. Even like because like forests are often associated with like everything frightening, serial killers, ghosts, bears, demons, like everything is it's always a forest, and I think it's been drilled into our minds that forests are super creepy at night. You know, so I think forests would definitely be. I'm gonna give that God tier because like walking through a forest at night would just scare me a lot. Even if I'm there, like, oh, like there's no demons, there's no serial killer in this woods, but it's just frightening. Forests in general are just creepy as hell. Next one, Frank of Stein's Monster. I'm assuming they mean Frankenstein monster, but whoever did this is probably just I don't know. I don't know what they are. I don't find Frankenstein scary at all. I mean, if we're just going off Frankenstein, you know. So I saw Pretty Things, which is sort of like Frankenstein. Uh, Not frightening, not scary. Maybe as a kid. I feel like even as a kid, I didn't find that scary. You know, it just looked dumb. Anyway, Freddy Fazbear, scary game. Like the animatronic like killing you definitely I think is a scary thing. I don't know if I'm super scared of it, but I mean I grew up with Chuck E. Cheese. I grew up with when they had the animatronic Chuck E. Cheeses. A lot of you don't remember that. I did grow up with that. I was young, but I do remember being like 6 and being at Chuck E. Cheese's with the little crappy animatronic. I think it is a scary thing. I think Freddy Fazbear is scary, so I'm just gonna go in the middle with an A. I think it's frightening. I don't think it's that scary. You know, I think the game itself is scary, but it relies heavily on basically just jump scares. Like, and any game that does that, I love it. I love jump scares. I'm not dissing on Five Nights at Freddy's, but I think it's just the noises and the popping out that scares people. I mean, it could be literally anything popping out. I don't know if you guys remember those old like jump scare videos that were on the internet back in the day. It'd be something, and then it'd be like a random Exorcist girl face like popping out, screaming. Like I feel like that's just any kind of loud noise and pop out is scary. Garfield, the new Garfield movie is pretty frightening, so I'm gonna give Garfield a B. Gay people. I don't understand that. I don't. I'm not scared of gay people. I have a lot of gay friends. I don't even like see. I don't know why. Like I said, this list is not your average horror list. So we're gonna put gay people C because I don't find gay people frightening. I really don't. I work with a lot of gay people. I mean maybe to like older people, gay people are scary. Like my parents find gay people like wouldn't say there's not scared of them, but they're more of like they don't understand because they don't hang out with gay people like I do. But yeah. Anyway, let's see what we got next. Guns. Okay, so I have been shot at before. It was not fun. I was 18 at the time. I'm not gonna say where. I will say it was in California. I was the target. It wasn't like they were just not trying. They were trying to. They were shooting at me, my car. So that was not fun, and that scared me a lot. That being said, guns in general don't scare me. People do. So somebody could walk up to me. So there was one guy that like shot at me with a gun, but I could have been walking around. This same guy could have like pulled out a knife and stabbed me, or even like picked up like something and started beating me up with it or threatening me. I've had people. I used to work at like one of my earlier jobs, like where you dealt with like the homeless people with like knives and stuff. Like that thing scares me too. So I don't think guns in general scare me. I think people scare me. Just like people in general scare me because if I see a firearm, I'm not afraid of firearm. I'm not. I'm not scared of a firearm. It's the person holding the firearm that frightens me. So I'm gonna put guns as C next to gay people. Fear of heights. I do have a fear of heights. It's odd. If I'm in like a protected area where, like where there's a railing or something, I'm not scared of heights. Like I went to the Grand Canyon and stuff, and like when you're protected, it's not really frightening. But when you're on like, I don't know, something somewhere where you're standing, like let's say you're hiking and there's a part where maybe you could fall, then yeah, that's scary. But I do have, and I think I have a little bit of a fear of heights, so I'm gonna put that as an A. But in general, if I'm at the top of a skyscraper and just like, I do wedding photography. There are places where people have their wedding on top of these giant buildings, and I look down and I'm like, I'm not too scared of that. But if it was like a cliff, on the edge of a cliff, and you walk to the edge of a cliff, that's when my fear starts kicking in a little bit. That adrenaline starts picking up, and then it's like, okay, now we are frightened. Um, Hurricane. I don't know why they spelled it like that. Hurricanes. I have never been in a hurricane. I've been in tornadoes. I grew up in Texas, so I have been in a tornado before, and it was frightening. And I don't see tornadoes on here. Storms, no. So a hurricane, I can't really amount to being frightening. I imagine they're frightening, so I'm gonna give it a B. I've never been in a hurricane, so I can't really talk about how frightening it is. Kidnapping, being kidnapped. I don't have kids yet. Um, I don't really think about that, like being kidnapped. But my sister has kids, and she thinks about it all the time. So I'm gonna put kidnapping as an A because I think that is pretty. That would be frightening if somebody like if you had kids and you were like I don't know. There's been like the situation where you're like I don't know at a theme park and you don't know where your kid's at. Like there's a moment of like that fear starts pumping up and scaring you and stuff like that. Next, Lost at Sea. I don't really ride boats or anything, so I don't have a fear of being lost at sea. I'm gonna put that at sea. Lost on island. Man, this makes me think like Survivor and stuff like that. I don't think that's frightening either. I mean, lost on an island. I guess if your plane crashes, I have pretty good survival skills. Like not amazing, but I think I could go like probably do whatever Tom Hanks did in Castaway. Just start like killing fish and cooking them and eating them. Mrs. Puff. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. And I am a SpongeBob fan, but I don't understand how Mrs. Puff is scary. But I'll just put it B, just to be fair. Mummy. Are mummies scary? I've seen a real mummy in like a museum. Yeah, they are kind of scary. They are. Like, can you imagine if a mummy came to life? Like a real one, not like the one you see in the movies with like the toilet paper all over them and stuff. Like a legit mummy. They look like basically like just like a leathered corpse. That coming to life would definitely be frightening for sure. So definitely gonna skip that. Nazis. Uh, that's interesting. I think Nazis are frightening people, but we already kind of kicked their ass already. So I mean, I guess like they're looking at a perspective of Nazis maybe during World War II. I think that would be very frightening. I think when I do watch a movie about World War II and Nazis and all that stuff, it does seem very frightening. So I don't know. We'll just give it a B. Neo Nazis. God. I don't really find neo Nazis scary. I feel them to be very cringy and dumb. C. I think there's other more frightening things out there. The ocean. This is the same as deep sea, but I will put it up on God tier because I mean I feel like they're the same. The ocean and the sea are both frightening. Really, really big pigeon. That would be scary, yeah. S tier? I don't know. We'll do B with next to Nazis. Rats. I'm not really scared of rats. I honestly, I don't think I've. Where I'm from, there's not really rats. There's mice, but I don't think I've ever seen a rat. I've seen mice, and they're cute. They're like little tiny mice. It's still kind of gross, but rats. I don't know. B. Republicans. So Republicans, like we talked before, Democrats, politicians in general. I hate politicians. I think they have too much power, and I get it. That's the whole point, but I don't think they do anything. Really, I really don't. Like I think some of them are important, but I think a lot of them, like, there's a lot of jobs in the government that you can literally just go through and be like, why do we have this? That's me though. That's me. I don't think there's too much power in the government, but that's my opinion. Robots. I do have a small fear of robots. I'm gonna put them A, especially with the rise of AI. And I feel like at least 10 years from now, robots will be like a legitimate thing where people are buying robots and stuff like that. So I'd give robots an A. Serial killers. I think serial killers are frightening. Um, I don't really hear about them anymore because, like, a serial killer is somebody, if you don't know, I think they kill over 3 times. I think that's, I don't know what a serial killer, like the definition of a serial killer is, but you know what it is. Somebody who's killed multiple times. Usually they have 14 victims, 8 victims, however many. There's a lot of famous ones, but I feel like they don't really exist. I mean, there's a lot of acts of violence in the US, but I feel like serial killer, I mean, if you're thinking like, oh, there's someone in my house and this is like, that's a serial killer, like a home intruder slash serial killer, that would be frightening, yes. So I'd give that an A. But in general, serial killers, like I don't think there's I mean, well, you know what? Someone once told me something, so I might bump that up. Someone once told me that, like, yeah, you hear about the serial killers who are caught, but how many are there out there that have murdered people and they haven't been caught yet? And because there's a lot of murders they don't figure out, so it's like unsolved murders. So it's like there's serial killers among us right now. Probably in every city, there's a serial killer that hasn't been caught yet. That is a frightening thought. I would say that's scary, for sure. Sexy nurse. That's not scary. It's not scary at all. I mean, that's are we talking like Silent Hill nurses or something? I mean, I don't find that scary. Okay. Shark. I think sharks are very scary. There's actually been, geez, someone like from the Pirates of the Caribbean just recently got killed in a shark attack. So, and it's frightening to watch them now that social media is a thing and video, everyone has videos. Like, just watching a shark attack is really frightening. And look, I love all animals, but I really hate people that are like, oh, sharks are like they don't know what we are. They're not trying to intentionally kill us. And I'm like, I think they are. I think we, like every other mammal out there, we have blood in our body, we have flesh on our bones, we have organs, we have meat that sharks will eat. So don't sit there and tell me like, well, they accidentally attack us. It's like, no, they don't. They know what we are. They know it's, yeah, maybe they mistaked us for a seal or something or a dolphin, but in the end, when a shark bites into you and they taste blood and that eye glazes over, they know this is food and they eat that and they're like, "Oh, I can eat this." And they know what we I think personally, I think sharks know anything swimming in the water, you know. Are they smart enough to know that we're humans? They might be. Dolphins are super smart. Why can't sharks be smart? You know? So, I mean, I'm going to put sharks at God tier because I'm tired of people saying, like, well, and it's always scientists too. Well, sharks just get confused and, they don't remember. It's like, no, dude. Like, I think they know that, like, they see, like, a human being swimming and they think it's like, that's food. It's not like they're over there, like, that looks like a seal. I'm going to bite into it. Ooh, it tastes better than a seal, So to me, it's like, yeah, I'm not saying sharks are bad. I'm just saying I think they understand our food. Same with any animal. Like when a bear attacks somebody and they're like, well, bears get confused and they didn't know. No, I feel like we are mammals. We have blood, we have flesh, we have organs, we have a lot of things in our body that an animal will eat and consume, especially a flesh eating animal. Um, Not Shark Nazi. I don't really find Nazis too scary, so we'll put Shark Nazi on B. Sleep paralysis demon. Oh my gosh. I think everyone hates the sleep paralysis demon. I used to suffer from sleep paralysis, and I actually still do. I hate it. I hate sleep paralysis so much. I really do. I think it's the worst thing in the world, and I despise it. I hate waking up with like a night terror and sleep paralysis. It's the worst feeling in the world, and I started having when I was like 19. I hate it. I really hate sleep paralysis. I'm gonna put the S. Slender Man. This is an old list. Slender Man is not that scary to me. I think he was like whatever you call it, like a creepy pasta. I think people are just I think he's cool. I think it's a cool idea. I don't think it's scary, but I'll put that as a I don't know. We'll do that B. Splendor Man. Uh, hmm. I mean, he looks creepier than Slender Man, so we'll give him an A. Slime Monster. I don't know why that's there. Space. So space again, the unknown. Space does frighten me. The biggest thing that frightens me about space is honestly when you read about black holes or anything like that, or comets crashing into Earth, or all this stuff that's in space that's unknown, all the planets, the stars, it's endless, you know? I feel like, yeah, the ocean's scary, but space is like endless, and we don't even know what's out there. We don't. And things exist like black holes and stuff, and I often wondered like what would happen if the Earth got sucked into a black hole, and we'd probably just be like, according to theories, we'd be like spaghettified, and we pretty I don't even know, like some interstellar level stuff. I don't like when you start thinking about stuff like that, your brain just really starts going into it just kind of makes you feel eerie and scared and like, ooh, that's spooky. Space is spooky, and there's a lot of stuff out there. And then again, like water, if you go into space, human beings can die. So the unknown frightens me. Same with like darkness, same with deep sea. I think the unknown is frightening. Storms. Do I think storms are scary? I do find lightning very scary. Loud noises in general, especially when you're not expecting it. If you're expecting lightning to hear like a loud crack, but sometimes when it's really close to your house, I feel like a nice little, like not lightning, it'd be thunder, can kind of make you jump a little bit. Me anyway. Succubus, that is not scary at all. That's not a bad thing. Vampires, looks like a female vampire. Do I think vampires are scary? No, because I don't think vampires are real. I think they're kind of silly. And I don't know. To me, I think they're. I mean, I trust me. I'm a vampire fan. I like 30 Days a Night and all that stuff, and I just I know they're not real. Are there people out there who think they're vampires and sharpen their teeth and want to bite people? Yes, I think that exists. I just think that's a lifestyle, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think vampires in general aren't scary. War. I think war is very scary. And especially now in the world, I feel like war could end a huge chunk of the population if it wanted to, especially nuclear war. Hopefully we find some sort of peace treaty, but human beings are odd. Like once you think like, oh, we're doing great, we're getting peaceful, like peace is coming, peace, and then like Russia like attacks the Ukraine or invades the Ukraine. It's like, so much for peace. And then you look at China, and then China used to be like, oh, we're on okay terms with China. Now it's like, oh no, we're not. China's actually one of our biggest things, and it just makes me think like, can you imagine we went to war with China? That would suck. Honestly, I really think it would be China, Russia, North Korea would would probably be if we had another World War III. That would be the Axis powers. That would probably be it, and maybe some other countries that like don't like whatever. But it's just frightening to me that people just can't live in harmony. You know, they can't live together and be like, we're all human beings. Let's get along. You know, there's something that drives people to be like, hey, I'm gonna send a bunch of people to go kill another person, or and you know to die and or kill, and it's like over what? You know, we sleep in our homes comfortably, safely, and if you think about like the world can always be at the brink of war, it's frightening, you know. And but then you also think to yourself too, there's like 8 point something billion people in the world now. While war is frightening, I think war is just something again that we live with, you know. And it's best not to think about it, but I still think war is scary, very scary. So not so scary that it keeps me up at night, but I'd give it an A next to Splendor Man. You know, it's just it's real. That's why it frightens me. You know, like vampires don't frighten me because I know they're not real. You know, and you know some of you might believe a vampire is real, but war is real, and war kills. And again, death is scary. You know, dying, like not. I mean, not so much that I think war would kill us, so much as war would just cause devastation to the world. And then, but as human beings, we grow, you know, and there is hope in the end. So, you know, hope for peace. I don't think world peace will ever exist, but you know, if you have that negative belief, it's never going to exist. So you have to have a belief that world peace is possible. Werewolves. I'm gonna give werewolves a B. I know they're not real, you know, but I think that in the future we could genetically make a werewolf, and I think werewolves are a lot scarier than vampires. White people, are white people scary? And a lot of you don't know, but I'm not white. I might look white, but I'm actually half Korean. So I always make fun of white people, and not make fun of them, but like I'm interested about how white people do certain things. You know, like because I have a lot of white friends, and they do odd things that I just make you say, "Wow, that's such a white person thing to do." And I'm not saying like racism or anything like that. I'm saying like I know a white person that eats like just we go to Olive Garden and they order plain noodles and some butter, and they put the butter on the noodles, and that's how they eat it. They have all this food at Olive Garden, but they eat butter and noodles. And then the same person would go home and he would cook rice, and then he would just get some soy sauce and put soy sauce on rice and just eat it. And I know that to you that's like, what's wrong with that? And it's like, it just seems like such a white thing to do, you know? It's like bland, but to them they love it, you know? And they were white, you know? Just to me, like I'm growing up as a Korean, I ate a lot of different types of food, and like I love Indian food. I love like Korean food, Japanese food. I don't really like Chinese food, but that's not really Chinese food. But like I grew up eating very spicy, different types of food. So to me, you know, I'm an adventurous eater. So when I see a white person eating like I don't know, like a slice of bread with like butter stuck, you know, like just butter on bread, like white bread, and just smashed together. That's white. That's white people. That's white people. That's what white people do to. And to me, it's not so much scary. It's just definitely frightening. You know. So I'm gonna give that an A. And if I offended any white people, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not, and not all white people are like that. But for some reason, I just think like, is that like a white person thing? You know, like putting ketchup on noodles, like on ramen, and just eating it. Is that white? Is that white people, or I don't know. Which I think witches are scary because I think witches are real. You know, I know they're real, and I know like the Wiccan, all that stuff. Like they're not bad people. I know my wife's uncle is actually Wiccan, but like when you watch movies like The Witch and stuff like that, it's like a very frightening thing when you think, or you know, it's just to me it's scary. And I know like Wiccan people. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but like I feel like I've heard a lot of stories about people who thought they were like witches and stuff, and they did pretty messed up shit. So, women are women frightening? You know what? They are. They're very frightening. I'm gonna put right next to witch, and that's not. I'm not trying to be mean, but I think women are very frightening. I really do. You know, I've I don't know how to say it politely, but like they're just I don't know. And I feel like when I'm hanging out with a bunch of dudes, like less drama, and then when you're hanging out with women, it's always like just a lot of estrogen, a lot of like crying, a lot of like anger, and with dudes, it's like, oh, I don't care. Like we just want to do our job, And women, because I've worked in a job with a lot of women, and it's kind of like a little bit of drama there. I'm not gonna lie. Does that mean dudes don't have drama either? No, absolutely not. There's some dudes out there that's stupid, but for the most part, women just the drama. Like, and honestly, I don't understand it. And trust me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm effeminate. I'm very effeminate. I'm not afraid to like watch like The Notebook or something, but women can be scary sometimes. They can. To me, that they're frightening. They're very. I've gone some pretty crazy hinge dates. Yeti. Where's Bigfoot? Bigfoot's an A. Why is Bigfoot an alien? Man, I'll give Yeti a B. Zombies. So, if we're talking zombies, I'm gonna say that if we're because I gotta realistically look at these because that's how I am. I kind of analyze things differently. But when I think zombies, I think of like viruses. And when I think of viruses, I think of COVID. And yeah, there's some things about COVID I'm not going to talk about because it was so political. Like COVID was like so much politics in COVID for some reason. I don't know why. But when I think of a virus like that, like wiping out the world, I think that's a real possibility. When you think about nuclear war wiping out the world, that's real. I think about COVID, what a virus killing, like it's happened before, killing like I don't know, 100 million people. That's possible. That's definitely possible, you know. And that's what zombies. I'm gonna count zombies as like a virus. I'm gonna put that on A. Nazi zombies. Again, Nazis aren't frightening to me. I don't really care. So that's my list, guys. So just to go over the god tier, we've got blood because I think when people see blood, it generally triggers a reaction, and then that's like when we see blood, we're trained to the freak out. Like what the hell? There's blood. Because if you see someone fall, there's no blood. You're like, oh, they're fine. But if you see someone fall and there's like a big pile of blood, they're either dead or they need a hospital, and we freak out. Like I remember the first time I saw blood as like a child, and I was like, holy, that's a lot of blood. So it is definitely scary. Darkness. I think darkness is frightening. I think. I mean, I just remember like just walking through dark houses at night. I think that's scary. I think if you were to take them to like an abandoned hotel that's dark, there's no light, and you were to tell them, I want you to stay at this hotel at night, no lights, nothing, and it's pitch black. There's like no street lights. That would be frightening. Again, it's the unknown. It's the unknown. Children made it to God tier. I don't know. Oh, because of the demon children. And then just having kids in general is like scary. It's like a scary thought because you kind of have to make sacrifices and just like what could happen to your kids. What's the future going to happen to your kids? Like to me, I would say children are scary. They're worth the God tier. Deep sea, again, the unknown, frightening. Like deep sea and shark go together, just like Democrats and Republicans go together. Just scary. Like, can you imagine just swimming in the deep sea? Can you imagine if you're in a boat and it sunk and there was no life raft and you had to swim to shore, and let's say it was only, I don't know, 5 miles away, which is not that far, but I would literally just be thinking about the whole time like something's gonna kill me, but by the time I get to shore, it's probably gonna be a shark. In fact, I know it's gonna be a shark. So that's why the deep sea frightens me. Also, you can drown. Like drowning's a possibility. So I think it's just a scary thing, you know. I know water brings life, but it can take it. Sharks again. I think sharks are scary, and I think it's bullshit that people think that sharks. It's not like they like defend sharks, like, well, and I get it. They're doing it for a reason, because there are some people that kill sharks, and I don't agree with that either. But don't sit there and tell me sharks don't know what the hell we are. I feel like they do. Forest at night, again, the unknown, frightening, scary. I think anyone in a forest at night would be scared. You know, you can't see much. There's a lot of things out there. There could be like a killer. There could be ghost demons. There could be a bear. There could be a cougar. There's a lot of things in Thing at Night. The ocean kind of just goes with deep sea. Same thing. And Republicans and Democrats, like politicians in general, I don't like. Like I said, I don't hate U.S. politics. I just think politicians do some shady things, and they have so much power. Because I've seen power. I've seen what money does. Money can make you very powerful. In order to be a politician, you need money, or people that believe in you with money. Money is definitely power. Like, hands down, 100%, money is power. That's what controls people. Money. You can pay someone money and they will pretty much do whatever you want them to. And that's frightening and that scares me. So, politicians in general, I don't trust them. I don't. I really don't. That's my thing. So, any politician. I think they lie a lot. I think they don't really have, like, not all. I can't say all of them, but they don't. I think they really have other people's best interests in mind. Honestly, I think politicians get off to power, and yeah, I think they care about money more than whatever. But I think that's just how the world is, unfortunately, because that's how we're raised. But then smart people realize, like, oh, money doesn't bring happiness, because it doesn't. It's not money, guys. It's people around you that care about you. Remember that. Remember that. And remember that you're loved too. Okay? Thank you for watching this very long video of me tier ranking all scary stuff ever, warning scary tier list. But yeah, guys, thank you. And I love doing these tier ranking videos. I think they're really fun. I was actually doing this while I was downloading a horror game to play. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give me a subscribe. Please give me a like. Leave me a comment below if you disagreed with any of these tier ranking things that you see on this list right here. And thank you for watching again, guys. And I will see you next time. Watch out for oceans, darkness, blood, children, deep sea, sharks, forest at night, politicians, and I'll see you next time.